Hey everyone! I wanted to take a second to real fast to explain why in the world I would even use somebody else's surveys versus making my own. So in the world of research and in the world in general, we have to validate things first. Okay, so think of validation as beta testing for a product, right? So company makes a product, they send it to a very small market, the market does what they're gonna do, or maybe a focus group. They play with it, they give the company feedback, the company makes tweaks based off of the feedback, they send it back out maybe one more time, they make more tweaks and they say, okay, this is good, now we can release it to the public. If they don't do something like that, they run the risk of a lot of recalls or things being broken too much, unhappy customers, etc. Surveys work exactly the same way. They have to go through a series of scientific validation. Now, the surveys that you get when someone calls you or right after you make a target purchase or something like that, those aren't necessarily validated surveys, but when you're going to do academic research, you have to have validated surveys. So if I didn't, what I would have to do is I would have to create a survey steeped in all sorts of theory, send it out to a small focus group, get feedback from them, run it, a bunch of statistics on it, and then I'd have to do the same thing again, and possibly even a third time in order for the statistics to be exactly where I need them to be so that the survey is reliable and that we consider it valid, right? Or I could take something that already exists and I can use it and then run the statistics on it. Really, the main reason you would even want to do that is time. Because doing a pilot survey, that whole time that's going to take is probably going to be a year or even two of research for that. And none of what I'm surveying is original yet. The concept is original, but the survey itself is not original. The concepts of burnout and concepts of wellness, they're not original and they don't need to be original. And that's what I'm looking at. So I wanted to explain that real quick because I'm sure you're like, why in the world is this guy asking for money? And he could just create something himself and not have to spend any money on it. That's why. Researchers have gotten smart, and companies in general have gotten smart. They spend all of this time and all this money validating their instruments, and so then they send it to one distributor who obviously charges for copyrights in order to distribute it legally, and that's what we need to do. We need to stay above reproach, we need to be legal, and that is exactly why I'm asking for the money. One more example, you see I have my USS Paul Hamilton hat on here, right? You don't want to be in a ship that has never been validated before, that's never been tested. Generally, a new ship model like these Arleigh class Burke destroyers, or Arleigh Burke class destroyers, the concept is there. They will send them out for sea trials with a very minimal crew and obviously a lot of people there to rescue them if something happens. They'll fix problems, they'll go back and they'll redo and they'll redo and they'll redo. And even after each individual ship is built, the ship still has to go out for a series of sea trials in order to make sure that the ship itself, the craftsmanship and everything involved is valid. Because if it's not, think about those cruise ships. Would you really want to be on a cruise ship that was never tested before? No, that would be really bad. So that's why we have to validate surveys, and that is why I'm asking for the money to do that. Thanks for your time.